I was thinking of yesterday where I left it on. Good afternoon, everyone. This beautiful Colorado Springs afternoon, we will begin our PPRTA meeting. And with that, our first issue there is a call to order and establish a quorum. I see that we have a quorum, and so that is established.
Move approval of the agenda.
So
I
move,
hear-
Yolanda. Oh, second.
Very good. We have a motion by Councilmember Williams and Councilmember
You just have to remember, I'm the prettier one.
Yes, that's an absolute yes. So with that, with the second, and we have discussion, none. And so all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There are none, so the agenda is approved. Issue number 3, public comment period. Items not on the agenda this afternoon. Do we have anyone online or called in that wants to make comments? Okay, I see or hear none. How about in the audience? Any public comments not on the agenda for today? Oh, there, I hear or see none. Therefore, we move to item number 4, approval of the minutes from the October 13th, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Commissioner Williams, so moved.
Second, John Graham.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
None opposed? The motion is approved. The minutes are approved. Excellent. Moving on to issue number 5, the Citizens Advisory Committee monthly report. Mr. Jim.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members
Good
of the board. That's Jim Godfrey, Chair of the CAC. Our meeting on November, when was our meeting? November 3rd. That was right after the election in Calhoun. So Cindy Tompkins happens to be one of our CAC members, but also the clerk gave us an update on the Calhoun election that was going favorably, and looks like that trend continued. So
Yes.
look forward to them joining us. Also, Bev presented the 2022 budget workshop. Good discussion. Members of the CAC had an opportunity to ask each member government questions. We did not do a presentation. Any questions that were asked were adequately addressed by the staff and the representatives. So we make a favorable recommendation for the board on the budget workshop. City of Colorado Springs presented their contracts. They had 5 contracts. No major discussions or issues with any of those. And we recommend approval of the city's request. The county, same here, they had 3 projects, and same thing, we make a positive recommendation on the county's request. And then while it's no action on your part, we just wanted to at this point let you know that there will be some turnover on the CAC in the next year. And so I think you had approved for Rick to go out and advertise for some positions. So we will be addressing those in our next meeting and coming forward. But so we're going to lose some really good people. So other than that, I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
All right, out there in Zoom land, any questions for Jim on the CAC? I don't see any.
Thank you.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the Citizens Advisory Committee monthly report? And that would be Councilmember Williams,
Second.
Commissioner Williams, second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? There are none. That motion has been approved. We've accepted the minutes from the CAC. The next up, item number 6, the monthly financial reports.
Good afternoon, Beverly
afternoon.
Mayeski, PPRTA Financial Manager. We received the September sales and use tax money of $13,098,000. And so we were at $1,265,000 above the amended monthly budget, or 10.7%. And so year to date, we're 7 million over the amended budget. So we're just really killing it. And when we get to the second page compared to last year, that tells the true story. We were ahead 1.9 million for the month, or 17.1%. And we're ahead so far with 3 months remaining by 20 million compared to last year's actual. So when we get into the budget, which will be next, we'll talk about this a little bit, about the revenue figure and what I'm going to recommend we do for this year's budget. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the financial reports? Okay, thanks. I am going to do the next item then, the budget, the 2022 budget. And the CAC reviewed the budget last week and approved it unanimously as presented. I can go through, let's talk about the revenue first, and that is on page 4 of the budget. And I don't have the number in the packet though. But the revenue, sales and use tax revenue projection was 138 million. What I would like to do at this point, since the budget isn't going to be approved till next month, is increase that to 150 million. And that way we will not have to do an amendment before the mid-year budget amendment. And it allows the member governments to get going on contracting out for next year, give them a little head start, and don't see any downside to it, since we're going to have probably 10 million or so of revenue carryover from 2021. If things start to taper off, those two can offset each other. I'm just looking for direction from the board.
Right. Any comments or concerns from the board members?
So my comment is it's still trending really high, and the carryover would cover it if something fell out in December and we had a real problem. The benefit of it is, frankly, it gives us a chance to get our materials ordered or to get projects started. And if there's a delay in the supply chain, then we get the stuff in our yards in time to actually start working in January. So
Very good comment. I see, looks like everyone, how about online? Yolanda or Mayor, any concerns online?
No concerns for me. She remains good news Bev forever.
Yes.
I
Yes,
know.
ma'am.
Forever's
Good
a
news,
long
Bev. I like
time.
And I will go with her recommendation. I think it's a great
Okay.
idea.
I don't think we have to vote on that.
No, I'm just looking for direction. What we're going to do is bring back with the member governments, we're going to bring back to the CAC next month a revised budget, but basically for them, a sheet or two of paper that says the additional revenue, how it's allocated, and what each member government is going to do with it. And so that we don't have to like bore them with all the detail again.
Okay.
And then we'll have the public hearing at the board next month for your board meeting.
Okay, I'll give one other chance. If anybody has any concerns. Yes,
Not a
Mr.
concerns,
Williams.
but just an additional comment, which is not only is there budget carryover, there's also a very healthy cash reserve. And so I do think it's important for us to be able to get projects out the door, and Gail and Jennifer work hard, as do the town representatives, but they need a little lead time to get the contracts ready, to get the planning done for it. And I think using that 150 million is a reasonable number and provides them more lead time to get that, so we can actually get projects on the ground. And next year is a critical year for getting projects underway. because we're talking about
Yes.
putting it on the ballot in 22. And to the extent people see the delivery of the promised projects, that is a very helpful thing. And so I would encourage the county, city, and the towns, and I guess, sorry, John, and the city of Manitou Springs. I sometimes get sloppy. But I consider I'd encourage all of the jurisdictions to work towards looking at that list and saying, are there things we can advance with this additional money? And are there ways we can deliver on those projects so that people see those wonderful signs that say project paid for with your Pikes Peak RTA dollars? Thank you.
Very well. So with that, Beverly, you have.
My question for the board is, how much review of the budget do you want to do? The CAC's done a review. Would you like to ask the member government staff's questions or?
I think we all got the packet. And
Yes. I'm good with it the way we are right now with what we got, but I will open it yet for Rick. Yes.
Bev, please mention Calhan's page.
So I don't have it up here and I don't know if it's in this. It was presented to the CAC. So Calhan will be joining and there's $53,000 worth of maintenance that will be allocated to them, and it comes off the other members by a little bit by their population percentage. And that will also be included in the December packet that we have the new budget. It wasn't in time for the CAC meeting, but
so is that the net? Because Calhan will also be contributing some sales tax.
yes. They would be contributing about 50,000, so the net is $3,000 difference.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna round off the sales
Minuscule.
tax number to 150 million,
Okay, that's fine. We can survive.
not
the-
150 million, 50,000.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to do that.
Thank you.
Any other concerns or questions from Beverly for the rest of the budget presentations, or are we good? I think-
So I don't mean to put staff on the spot here, but I know the city has all of their projects started now. Is that what I heard? Or out to contract or?
That's an excellent question. 'cause I-
This is Gail Sturdivant, City Engineer, Deputy Public Works Director for the City of Colorado Springs. We have all but one out with contract right now, and we're making a consultant selection on Friday for the last PPRTA project.
And then I think the last one we have at the county is Beacon Light. Is that right, Jennifer?
I would say whether it's in design or construction, each one of ours are started and some of them may be in design. But every one of them is in some form of design, design, construction, or already completed. So
Yes.
they're all
Mhm.
underway.
Okay. That's
So
good.
that sounds like we're there. I don't know, so for Manitou Springs and the other entities inside our 5 governments are completed for the year, or do we know?
Yeah, I believe we're completed. There may be a couple little finishing things, but essentially, yeah, we're done.
That's great.
All right. I'm
Okay,
I think
good.
we're
This was a discussion item, so that's all we needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Bev. Okay, so that takes care of item 7. They're not issues. Item number 8, 2021 capital maintenance and public transportation contracts. Ms. Gail.
Gail Sturdivant again,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Chair. The city is bringing 5 contracts as mentioned by Mr. Godfrey. The first one is for the Academy Boulevard projects. I know your list says it's Bijou to Airport. We actually have a second segment that's from Milton Proby Parkway to Fountain. This change order just updates the rates and the job descriptions per the City of Colorado Springs procurement rules. There is not an update in the overall contract value, and we're still anticipated the same scope as it's written today to be delivered with the contract value. The second contract is for the Galley Road Bridge over the West Fork of Sand Creek for Stan Tech. This is to advance the project from 90% to 100% design. One of the great things with this budget discussion that Bev just had is we're advancing some projects forward to construction in 22, things that were kind of lingering out there in 23, 24. This is one of the projects we're advancing. So originally in our CIP, this was not going to be done until 24. We anticipate doing construction in 22. But we had planned on letting the 90% kind of sit on the shelf a little bit till we got closer to construction because of last minute things that come out. We're advancing it to the bid documents. So to do so, this change order would be in the amount of $157,857.20 to get the engineering completed. And there is a vicinity map included in your packet if you have questions about that location.
All right.
The third contract is for the Rustic Hills Phase 2. It's for roadway design and get ready for paving streets. This is part 2 of a systematic approach to pave an older gravel neighborhood within the city to help reduce maintenance costs. And we also is giving us the opportunity to collaborate with the city stormwater enterprise and with Colorado Springs Utilities. If you can see in your packet, we've got a list of roads that would be included for this paving and improvements as they're prioritized. And this design would help us advance it and get that done and help us hopefully circumvent some of the challenges they had in Phase 1. The contract value is in the amount of $251,325 for Kimley Horn.
I would just like to add a personal note about Rustic Hills. It's an interesting place for my development as a young man way back in the late 70s. That Rustic Hills Shopping Center was a place that a lot of cadets went to and stuff. And it just so happens I met my wife there back in 1977. So it's
Excellent.
not that I'm sharing personal stuff here on a public entity. That's right. That's exactly right. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
And for those
It's nice to see it being reinvigorated to include us with the roads and that kind of thing.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I did want to point out there is a vicinity map if you're not familiar with where that neighborhood is located, but it's roughly near the intersection of Constitution Avenue and Murray Boulevard. The city's fourth contract is renewal of the cartograph license. The city uses cartograph as an asset management tool. This cost is split among several entities for really asset tracking and maintenance planning activities. The total contract value is just under $200,000, of which the PPRTA portion is $63,993. And the fifth is actually a list of contract renewals. As you are all aware, the city maintains a list of on-call contracts that we extend, have terms for extension within those, and we intend to extend the period of performance for all these contracts. There is a detailed list of what those contracts are. I will let you know that no task orders will be issued underneath those contracts unless we have appropriated and approved funds and approved procurement approaches. I will also point out there's one large line item there for Circle for the city's fleet maintenance. The city's total contract value is $4.3 million. The PPRTA portion of that is limited to $200,000. And then I will point out the Rock Rimmon contract extension is for time only. We do not anticipate any value. It's just really to do some closeout activities with that contractor. So with that, I am available if there are any additional questions, and the city would ask for favorable approval of these 5 contracts. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Gail. Online, Mayor and Yolanda, y'all have any questions or concerns?
I don't, and
No.
I move to approve the 5 contracts.
Thank you for that motion. I appreciate that. We have a motion
I'll second.
and we have a second from the mayor. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I hear and see none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
All opposed? There is none. The motion for the Colorado Springs contract is approved. Next up, still Colorado Springs.
I was ready to move on to the next item. No, I don't want to skip this one. Thank you. Gail Sturtevant again. So the city of Colorado Springs, as you are aware, I'm very actively looking to ways to leverage the PPRTA funding to bring other dollars into our community. We are pursuing right now a federal discretionary grant referred to as a CRISI grant, which is a consolidated rail infrastructure and safety improvements. So it's really focused on railroad infrastructure. As we've discussed before, the city has several bridges that happen to serve both a transportation and rail function. The city's applying for what we see as a PPRTA list project as a UPRR bridges over Tejon and Nevada. I will tell you through the alternatives analysis, we actually end up hitting the rail bridge that goes over Shooks Run. And the overall recommendation of that initial study also shows the replacement of the bridge on Las Vegas Street over Shooks Run. So this is a project that has a very healthy price tag, and also just the scope of it, just to really get everything in there with the track realignment and the grade elevation changes. It's got a long run out basically to the east and really hits those Shooks Runs improvements. Right now, in today's dollars, we estimate that total project cost to be $86.8 million. It's a huge effort. We've got a huge need. I'm just looking at that Tejon Street Bridge. It's 115 years old. It's fracture critical. Something needs to be done. It's either going to be done as is and leave us with some of the same constraints and situations that we deal with today on an emergency basis, where we can proactively pursue some other funding. This grant that we're pursuing really is just to start federalizing this project, to do our NEPA clearance, get the preliminary engineering, and really set the stage to be eligible for other types of federal funding that we could become available or anticipated to become available, in particular now with the infrastructure bill passing. So that's a lot of elaboration, and really what I'm asking for is a letter of support from PPRTA to help with inclusion with our grant activity. So I'm available to answer questions on this particular request.
I move approval.
Oh, okay. I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right, the mayor online. Was that online or was that here? No, that was here.
It's present, yeah.
You and Carpenter sound alike. I just want to let you know that, John. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Some discussion. I would like to say this, I think this is fantastic, and this is the things we should be doing, and never let something like this go by. So with that said, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? There is none. The motion for the grant is approved.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Next up, we have the county. Ms.
Good
Jennifer.
afternoon, Mr. Chair, Board of Directors, Jennifer Irvin, El Paso County County Engineer. We have 3 items for your consideration today. The first contract is for our Eastonville Road Corridor project. We previously had a traffic study completed for this area, and we are ready to move on to the design phase. So we're asking for a contract and purchase order in the amount of about $1.56 million for Stanley Consultants. The second item is the last project that is really to get underway. And as I said, with the contract today, all of our projects will be underway. And this is the last one, Deer Creek Road Base Camp Microscope Way. There is a vicinity map in your packet, but this is up in the Triview area. And so these roads are all connected. So we're asking for a design contract of $481,000. And then finally, as we're trying to finish closing out the Mark Shuffle South project from PPRTA 2, we have it within our budget, but not within the contract for additional monies with WSP Parsons Brinkerhoff, our engineer design consulting firm, for approximately $14,000. The purpose of this would be to go ahead and finalize some additional survey and close out of our water quality permitting. So I'm happy to answer any questions, specific questions about all 3 of these contracts.
All right. Yes, Councilmember Williams.
Just have a question on Mark Shuffle, and I recognize it's probably a different part. But I know that one of our last county and city meetings, there was discussion of transferring Mark Shuffle over to the city, and just wondering if y'all could provide an update as to where we are in that.
We've had a couple of things to be able to accomplish that. One has been an IGA that the county has provided to the city for consideration, which would convey all the legal control while we go ahead and do the paperwork for the deeds. And there are, because that's a mishmash, that's hundreds of title work that is being done. And in our environment right now with the transfer of property, that's been pretty difficult. So we are continuing on the path of doing that. In fact, we've recently seen, so the county is doing that work. So we've recently seen some movement from our title companies that is a lot more favorable than it has been in the past. So we're in the process of going ahead and putting together all that deed information for the city for consideration. So
Gail?
I think we're close.
Yeah, we're, as Jennifer said, we're actively moving forward to that and we're doing the right steps. We're really in the process of taking over operational control in advance of the paperwork. I will mention too, not only are they working on the title work, we actually have a real estate specialist assigned and we meet on this on a bi-weekly basis to keep moving this along. And I think you're focusing specifically on that North Carefree to Dublin area. I will let you know we're also actively pursuing this activity north of Woodman Road as well. And in fact, you'll see a city council member action item or first work session on November 22nd and December 14th for some developments that want to stay in the county, but Mark Shuffle will be in the city and to have that continuity of Mark Shuffle Road as it goes all the way up and ties into Research Boulevard or Parkway.
No, thank you. And I know it wasn't directly related, but it was one of the questions at one of our last city county meetings of why won't you take this? And we're saying we will. And I just wanted to kind of get an update because I know that was a concern raised by both parties and we want to be good partners there. So thanks.
I would just add that I think that irrespective of the paperwork, we're continuing to work together. Ultimately, it's a regional facility. We both find that it's very important, I think, from not only our elected officials, our citizens, but also for each member government. So we are continuing to work together, outside of that transfer. That's just something that we do because it's the right thing to do.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd move approval.
I will second the El Paso County projects.
So we have a motion and a second by the Williams. And any further discussion? No. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. The motion for the county contracts is approved. All right. On to item number 9, other reports. City of Colorado Springs Transit Services Monthly Update.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Brian Vituli with the city's Transit Services Division, otherwise known as Mountain Metropolitan Transit, with your monthly report for
Good
September.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. For our local fixed route services, in September of this year, we provided a little over 166,000 trips. That is a little down, just shy of 2% down from September of last year, but 43% down from pre-pandemic levels in September of 2019. And we're still
That's painful.
experiencing a ridership, or I'm sorry, a bus operator shortage, as is nearly every transit agency in the nation and all other industries. So in the middle of September, we started operating a Saturday level service during weekdays, and we're also somewhat reduced on the weekends. So it's something we're struggling through right now. It's very frustrating because, we are getting a lot of additional resources to add new service, and, we're having to delay that somewhat, but we're hoping that things turn around here soon. We are working very hard with our fixed route operator or contractor to recruit new operators. And, we're doing everything we can to support them, but it's kind of a slow road to hoe right now, but we're struggling through that. For our ADA paratransit services, we provided a little over 8,800 trips in September. That's just about 32% up from September of 2020, but still 30% down from September of 2019. For our specialized paratransit taxi choice option, this is a service that we postponed April of 2020 because of the pandemic, and we just reinstituted just this past March. So ridership is increasing, but it's kind of slow to increase. So we provided 63 rides in September of 2021. And then finally, for our van pool services, we operated 8 vans in September of this year. We still have 10 routes that are somewhat on hold. And we provided 31 active riders with service and about 920 trips for September of 2021. So we're still down. Well, actually, we're up from September of last year, but quite a bit down from September of 2019. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Anyone out online?
I do, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Brian. It's good to
Yolanda.
see you. It's been a while.
Good to see you.
So where are we with the drivers? I know that we're recruiting, but do we have more? And I'm going to just kind of say that people where we had our 15-minute routes like the 27 and the 25 and the 1, I think people took them more because they were, if you missed one, well, another one was coming pretty shortly thereafter. And I'm thinking that could be down because of that. It's not, they have to wait longer. And, but I was on the 7 the other day, and then the 27, no, not the 20, the 25 that goes up North Academy. Oh my God, those buses were full. I mean, they were to full capacity. But so where are we with the drivers? More, I mean, can you give me like more exact numbers and how many more that we need?
Sure. From what I've heard recently, we're still about 30 to 35 operators short to operate the service that we should be operating right now. And you're right. I mean, it was a conscious decision on our part to reduce the frequency on some of those higher frequency routes, just so we didn't have to suspend other routes. So we want to try to provide as much service as we can, even if some of that service is, less frequent. So it's kind of a balancing act. But yeah, we're still down quite a few operators, and they're still having training classes, and they do have new people coming in, but it's a slow process because they have to go through the training process. They get their CDL as well. And, so sometimes you gain a few riders that make it through the class, but then you lose a couple in the meantime. So, the net gains are kind of slow right now, but it's just a really, really challenging time right now. And, we're hoping that something turns the corner soon, and we'll continue to work with our contractor to try to get as many people as we can. So if anybody knows people out there who would like to become a professional commercial driver, please let us know.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what incentives do we have? I just, I had an Uber driver, right? And he got a job with Uber, and with a $3,000 sign-in, deal. It's like, and we can't compete with that, obviously, but it seems like since we do have a lot of funding that we're going to, and I know the contractors do it, and I bring this up every month, so to Craig too, like, what can we do to put more money out there, to up the salaries for these drivers. Because, these drivers have to be like psychologists, and they have to have all kinds of skills because they deal with so many different types of personalities and people that come on with, ADA. They have to deal with me and other people. So it's just, they've got a lot on their plate. It's not just like a bus driver, right? They have all these rules that they have to contend with, and masks for the people. So they take on a lot, and they're frontline workers. So they're really at high risk too. So I'm just trying to see what we could do financially to incentivize more drivers.
That's a great question. You're right. Being a bus operator is a very challenging job, just like a lot of other frontline employees out there. But, just recently, within the last couple of months, the contractor did increase their starting wage that they get when they begin their training process. So that, I think that's helping a little bit. But what you'll also see in the budget for next year, and what we had in our budget presentation that we were anxiously waiting to show you. But we do have some reserves, some PPRTA reserves that we are looking to be able to provide to the contractor to help with recruiting efforts. So that means additional wage increases and whatnot. So
Is there
hopefully that
is
will
there a
help.
potential? Is there a potential sign-on bonus? Is that legal?
There are transit agencies throughout the nation that are doing that. We haven't really discussed that at this point, but that could also be on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money. $1,000-$2,000 sign-on bonus might get to the point that Yolanda is talking about from an incentive.
Do
It
you
kept
all-
me in the pilot bonus kept me in the Air Force, of course.
And do you all pay for their CDL license?
Our contractor, yep, that's part of the training. They get their CDL as part of their training. Yes, they do.
Are they required to have a high school diploma?
Yes, they are.
Because I know, do we let our county employees, Jennifer, do you know, the ones without a GED or a high school diploma, do we let them come on?
Yeah, we just recently dropped the requirement for the high school diploma.
Yeah, we dropped our requirement for the high school diploma and got 28 or 30 employees. And good, really good employees, people who'd worked in the welding industry for 20 years. They've always wanted to work for government and they couldn't because they didn't have that high school diploma. So it's something to think about.
Yes, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Brian, Councilmember Williams, I would encourage, as Yolanda and others have suggested, being creative and incentivizing. And certainly, given that we've not been operating some of these routes, there are cost savings that could go directly to acquiring the necessary drivers, because it's wonderful to have a bus, but if you have no driver, we're not quite at self-automated vehicles yet. And we need to take the steps necessary to attract and retain. And we need to work with our contractor to do that. And, I'm not the expert in that area, but I would ask that we kind of put some pressure on the contractor to take steps necessary to both retain the ones we have and to attract additional drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are continuing to have those discussions with our contractor, and it's kind of another tough balancing act because they are a contractor, and we selected them to provide that service for us, and they're having a hard time doing that. But on the other hand, it's a nationwide issue, and so we're trying to trying to be understanding, but at the end of the day, we do have services that need to be out there, and we do need to have those continued discussions, and we need to be creative in the way we move forward. So thank you for that.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
All right, thank you very much.
Our next item is item 9B, the PPRTA Matrix 3. All right, Rick.
At the October 13 board meeting, the board directed me to refer out a couple of items that were still remaining on the matrix. The composition of the Citizens Advisory Committee, the CAC, specifically regarding the possibility of a fourth CTAD member on the CAC and a fourth County Highway Advisory Commission member on the CAC. Those requests are under review by the city and the county, but they have not finalized a recommendation back. The other item that was referred out after the October 13 meeting was the issue of the maintenance of effort base year and whether or not it should be revised from 2004 to 2015. That was referred out to the 5-member governments, and they have that discussion ongoing, but have not finalized. So we're waiting to hear back up that as well. So I suggested to the board that these two items just be rolled over to the December meeting, and when we expect to have responses back from the member governments. And then that will be the final two items on the PPRTA matrix, hopefully for your December 8 meeting. So just
Any discussion on that? On
so
those
just
two
info.
items? And that's info. Yeah, we don't, even though it says we need to approve something, we do not have anything to approve on the Matrix 3 today. Discussion on those items, though. Anyone who want online? Anybody want to? Okay. I hear nothing on that. Anything else? Going once, going twice.
I'm good to
Wow.
defer it to December to see what the CAC comes up with. And then
Yes. This has got, wow. I'm not even going to comment on the first time Matrix 3. Yes, that's right. 9C. See, I moved on. City of Colorado Springs monthly change order and property acquisition report.
Gail Sertivant, the City of Colorado Springs again. The change order log and the property log for the previous month are available in your packets. I'm available if there are questions.
Anyone out there? Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask a quick question. So we're talking about where we are in the progress of Pikes Peak RTA 2 and the capital projects in category A. So do we have a count of how many more parcels we need to acquire for the city and the county? Or do we not have that yet because we still haven't finished design on a couple of those?
We wouldn't have the exact number. I could probably give you an approximation. I don't know that off the top of
Okay.
my head for the city projects.
Just if you can stick that in next month's report, kind of, because one of the things that can hold up sometimes, I know this has held up a project before, is acquiring the property. So it is,
Yes.
as I've experienced on county commission and on the city council, it can sometimes take an extensive amount of time, even to get a tiny little easement above for the circle bridges, for example.
In particular, if there's railroads involved.
And particularly if there's railroads. So yeah, if you can if you can't get it done by December, then January, but just kind of a report of how many parcels and what your goal is for acquiring the property. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Our next is the request for contract extension. Mr. Rick.
Rick Soniver here. In late 2018, the board executed an agreement with the Eisnagel Seaver Pogue law firm for up to 4 years extension beyond 2019. Actually, it was for 2019 with options for 2020, 21, and 22. So we're now in the last year of that extension. But the PPRTA staff is recommending to the board that the board approve the Eisnagel Seaver Pogue Law Firm for a 1-year extension through 2022.
Is that how we pronounce that?
Eisnagel Seaver Pogue.
Wow, okay. Yes, so any discussion on that?
I do. So I note there's a rate increase, which is not shocking.
Yeah.
It's page 104 versus 105. I have to look 2 pages to figure this out. It's in a convenient column.
I should have sent the, I have a comparison of what the rates have been over the years. I should have sent
Okay.
that.
And how does this compare to the rates that you were charging others?
So my rate for 2022 for standard clients is $360 an hour. So
Okay.
I'm charging PPRTA 285.
Okay.
Move approval. Very good. We have a motion.
Good answer.
Yeah, it was, but do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a second from the mayor. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I hear none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I hear none. Motion is approved for our law firm. Thank you. Next up is our legislative report. I think that's coming online.
Yes, I see that Dan Jablan is on the Zoom screen. So Dan, did you want to talk about either the last session or the upcoming session, either your choice?
I'll do quickly on both because I think they're going to tie together. The last session in 2021, they used 116 of their 120 days. There was 623 bills, of which 502 passed, which I think is something we need to take a look at because that showed that 81% of the bills passed last year. The major themes, of course, being healthcare costs, social justice, gun, transportation, regulating the marijuana industry, and mental health issues. And I only bring that up because I expect 2022 to be more of the same. And the reason that is we have exactly the same 100 legislators, and the governor's office will all be back. And I think their agenda, typically, a lot of you on the board have as much, if not more, experience than I do. Know that on election years, they're not typically quite as volatile. I actually expect this election this year, 2022, to be as volatile, if not more volatile than 2021 because of the new maps, which are now in the Supreme Court. As you know, the independent commission voted 12-0 to accept the maps that were drawn. In the Senate this year, there is at least 7 competitive races. So the leadership and who's going to be in charge of the Senate will be much in doubt moving into the 2022 election. And certainly it is greatly thought that the spread of 41-24 will get much closer in the House. So I think we're going to see a very aggressive agenda because it is unclear on who will be in charge in 2023. So I think that it will be at least as volatile as 2021 with most of the major themes, with a few exceptions. And the thing that we have to really watch, and I've already run into this month talking with legislators, is because there's been several incumbents drawn into the same districts. People are running for Congress because of the way the district was drawn. We have a couple people looking at the Denver mayoral race. So people that used to be our friends are going to be more conservative with their votes because now they're playing to a larger audience. And that's something we're going to have to really keep an eye on, is how that happens and what that does to them. So I do expect it to be fairly volatile. This interim with Rick's and Jennifer's leadership, I monitored the Transportation Interim Committee based on what they're talking about. Right now, there is nothing directly impacting us, although the transportation bill from last year and how the money is going to be dispersed was really the major theme of all the legislation, I think, that they were looking at moving forward. So we'll keep an eye on everything moving forward. So I expect the 2022 session to be much like the 2021 session. And in some ways, it's a crystal ball, and I hope that I'm not right, but I expect to be maybe even a little more aggressive, just because I really do think that the Colorado Senate is up in the air for leadership, which would mean there would be split chambers moving forward, and the agendas would have to be much different in the 2023 session. So that's kind of where we were at, and kind of where I think and see where we're going. And I can answer any questions on that.
All right, thank you. Questions on that before we get to whether we vote to extend contract extension? Anybody online? Questions or concerns? I hear none. Do I have a motion or do it? Up? No? Yes. I was combining the two. All right, nothing on that. So now we will move into the potential extension of the legislative lobbyist contract.
Move approval.
There we go.
Commissioner Williams, I will second.
So we have a motion and second by the Williams. And any discussion on extension of the contract? Anybody online, extension of the contract? No, I hear none. So okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I hear none. The contract extension is approved. So we finished with E and F there. Moving on to G, appointment, reappointment process for Citizens Advisory Committee members. All right.
Rick Sonnenberg
Yes,
here.
Rick.
The board directed me to advertise for the current 2 vacant at-large CAC seats, and I did. I have several applications, and pursuant to a board policy, I will send those out to the board subcommittee. That's the board chair, board vice chair, and the CAC chair for review, and then setting up a special board meeting for at least those 3, but it can include any board member to review, discuss the applications, including interviews if the subcommittee chooses of the candidates. So I'll be getting with the subcommittee in the next day or 2 and asking for your calendars to set up that meeting and sending you the applications.
And we did say we have 2.
2 openings,
openings.
yes.
And so far, how many
4.
resumes? 4. Okay, everybody hear that? All right. Any discussion on this issue about new CAC board members? And I don't see anything online. I hear nothing in here. All right, so that takes care of 9 G, and well, does it take care of H also? No. Appointment, reappointment of board members, right? That's us, actually. So,
Yes, so Rick
Go
Sonnenberg
ahead,
again.
Rick.
So this is an information item, just a reminder that the board members are appointed by your respective city councils, board of county commissioners, board trustees on a calendar year basis. So we need to receive in writing the validation of your reappointment from your respective member governments, governing bodies, hopefully in December, no later than the January 12 board meeting, so that you are officially seated for the calendar year 22.
So what that means for the city, for Yolanda, Wayne, and myself, is we have to get that on our agenda.
Yeah, I think that should be your responsibility.
I can make that happen.
Thank you.
So I will get that on. Actually, I'll get it on our next regular session, the 23rd.
Good.
So we don't wait till December to do that.
Also, a reminder is that per the board bylaws, the chair and vice chair will change. Currently, it's city as chair, county as vice chair, but for calendar 22, it'll be flipped so that the county will be chair and city will be vice chair. So just a reminder that the city, Colorado Springs and county directors should start thinking about their nominations for chair and vice chair.
And I'm sure that happens in our January board meeting here, since we will be.
Yes, that'll be the vote, but this is
Those that-
just a reminder to start those discussions.
Roger. Thank you. All right. That takes care of item 9. Moving over to item 10. And as I understand it, unless things have changed, we do not have an executive session.
Correct. No need for an executive session.
Okay. Whoa. Coming up on item 11. Administrative actions and reports. Update on CDOT's greenhouse gas.
Yeah, so just briefly, while we were, I think, meeting last month or shortly thereafter, before CDOT did promulgate or release some revised rules for the greenhouse gas emissions. They had some things that were slight improvements over the previous language, nothing so substantive that it really impacted the comment letter that the PPRTA had previously authorized and which was submitted on the PPRTA's behalf. So really no action for the board at this point. Our previous comment letter really does stand at this point. And I turned it over to Andrew, who has actually been working on this from the PPACG side a bit further. Since they're much more impacted by this in the PPRTA. Obviously, we're all trying to be good team players, but the PPRTA isn't directly impacted by it. So
Not much more to add. We had a really good discussion this morning with the PPACG board, and they authorized a letter to be sent to CDOT to beat the deadline to get final comments in. And that really pretty much, I think, addresses all of the concerns we've got region-wide, including those that might be of ongoing concern of the PPRTA. But most of the impact of the new rule is really on the PPACG side. So probably nothing else we need to do for the RTA. And the rules will be adopted in December. So more to come as far as how this all gets implemented.
All right. Thank you, Andy. Any discussion out there? Anyone?
I guess I should just mention the last public hearing is being held starting
Oh,
in
that's right.
like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So they did add one public hearing, and that
You might-
public hearing is virtual and starts at 3 o'clock today.
All right. With that said, there's nothing to approve, though. We've got approval out there, but I don't think there's.
Nope, that was just in case things changed.
Got it. All right. That's 11A. 11B. So we're very proud, Town of Calhan, process for inclusion into PPRTA for discussion. Rick, yes.
I'll kick off the discussion, but Jennifer Ivy can certainly jump in and help me. And Cindy Tompkins from Calhan, are you on the Zoom? I don't hear her. Okay, we
Do you
talked
see her
earlier.
at all? Yes. No.
She told me earlier today she's going to try to join. Okay, the town of Calhan voters did approve joining the Pikes Peak RTA. So pursuant to state law and the PPRTA establishing IGA, there are a number of steps that have to take place to get Calhan officially in the PPRTA and for the Department of Revenue to start collecting the sales tax. So in the memo that Jennifer Ivy and I prepared that's in the packet, there's a big long list of things that have to be done, some of which are today, and I'll go ahead and read those in a minute, but a lot of them are between today and December 8, and then others are at the December 8 board meeting, which would be holding a public hearing on, which would be one of the final acts of having Calhan join. But so for today, the request would be a motion to do 3 things. Set the board's regular meeting of December 8 as the public hearing date for the inclusion of the property within the boundaries of the town of Calhoun into the boundaries of the PPRTA and the addition of the town of Calhoun as a party to the establishing IGA. B, direct the PPRTA staff to publish a notice for the December 8 public hearing and mail a copy of that notice to the Colorado Department of Local Affairs, DOLA, as well as the Colorado Transportation Commission. And C, direct the town of Calhoun to mail copies of the notice to all property owners. And I understand that's about 416 within the town of Calhoun, and all notices for sections 1B and 1C above being mailed or placed by November 18, 2021. So that would be the recommended motion. Of course, we can certainly have discussion. Number 2 is for the board to discuss with the attorney or the attorney to bring up any questions or issues. Number 3 here, town of Calhoun's budget request. Beverly covered that already, and that'll be the final details of that will be in your December packet for adoption of the FY22 budget, including Calhoun, again, for maintenance only. And approve a motion setting the steps and timetable for the December, January board meetings and the January CAC meeting. Any amplification or help, Jennifer?
Yeah, some of this is just redundant with what Rick already said, but as the board members will recall, the first step in adding a new member is to get consent from, well, one of the steps that has to be done before it's final is consent from all of the other member governments by a 2/3 vote. 3 of those jurisdictions had a conditional consent.
Including
Manitou,
us, the city.
the city of Manitou Springs, city of Colorado Springs, and El Paso County. That's what got us to the 4th amended and restated IGA with the math that you guys made me do. El Paso County yesterday, I understand, passed the 4th amended and restated IGA with a resolution or a recognition in the minutes that satisfied the condition of their consent to adding Calhoun. The city of Colorado Springs has approved the 4th amended and restated IGA, but did not have language tying that to satisfying the condition.
We've got it on the agenda for November 23rd.
It's getting on the agenda for the 23rd. Thank you. And I've actually gotten a couple of emails from the city attorney's office with the resolution draft for me to look at that ties that together. No concerns, just want to make sure we have all the I's dotted and T's crossed. And then the city of Manitou Springs, the 3rd one, I've been in contact with their city attorney as well, Jeff Parker, and he is aware, and we'll get that language in their resolution as well. And Rick has been asked to join that meeting in case anyone has any questions. I understand that there may be or may not be some questions among the city council members on that action item. So talk to the city attorney on that, and Rick will be in attendance at that meeting should there be any questions that arise.
On the 16th.
On the 16th. And I think you said the dates for the others. Rama is tonight.
Ramus tonight.
And then Green Mountain Falls is on December 7th. So assuming that all of that goes according to plan, then on the 8th, there'll be no concerns with the board adopting a resolution, including the property and adding Calhoun as a member. So really just a little more color commentary on the process that we're in right now. My office will send out the notices to the state and the published notice, and then we'll work with Cindy from Calhoun to make sure she sends out the 400 and some mailed notices for the public hearing that we're asking you to set today, assuming that you give us the thumbs up on that.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah. Any board members online or up here at the dais have any questions or comments for that?
So I would move approval of instructing Calhoun, or no, I'm moving approval of 1A, B, and C in the memo. Then I don't need to repeat all of them. Is that correct? Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I hear none. The motion has passed. We have work to do. We will get it done and move forward for the December before the December board meeting, all those issues. Wow. How come I don't have anything left on my list other than PPRTA member announcements? Seems odd. So let's go around. I'll start with online. If our board members online want to make their closing comments.
Yolanda, I
Please.
have no announcements.
All right,
Good
thank you.
meeting.
Thank you. Yes.
Carpenter, I have no announcements.
All right.
Newberry, no announcement.
Hey, all right. Wow. So we'll start over here on the side with Councilmember Williams.
Hope our staff all has a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and we appreciate, I'm thankful for all the work you do for us.
Thank you.
I'll echo that and have no further announcements.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Any other staff members, anyone from out in audience? All right. Yes, ma'am.
I prepared a 25-minute speech today.
I think you'll be by yourself,
No
Commissioner Williams.
announcements. No announcements. Thank you.
All right, just a quick, everyone knows that tomorrow is Veterans Day. And I just want to thank all our veterans out there for the service that they've performed for this magnificent country. But I also want to thank the family members of those veterans. They sacrifice absolutely as much, if not more, than the actual veteran, him or herself. And so I think it's really important, whether you have a parent or you have a spouse or you have a child that's serving. I can tell you from personal experience, family members sacrifice just as much, if not more. So big thank you, especially to this community here in Colorado Springs. And with that, my only last comment is I think as the time I've been chair, I don't know that I've had a meeting in before 3:30, and this is going to be the first one, I think. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Wow.
Goodbye.
We did it.
There's some things that you can talk about. We've got a lot of heavy lifting, Randy, so that's why it's, John makes the airport advisory committee.